Lights, camera, action.
When a script is written that is so bad, no one will film it. These brave podcasters will bring it to life just so they can mock it. This is Table Reads.
So the movie's kaput, which means your script ain't worth the buffalo shit on a nickel.
Table Reads with Shawn McBee, Jeff Lewis, and Joshua Baker.
Hey everybody! We had a little bit of video problem there. I don't know why. OBS is not being helpful right now. But we seem to be working now, so that's fine. I had to do a little bit of stuff manually. It's okay. I blame the coronavirus. You know, at this point, I was gonna say something about, like, you know, if you guys are living in a world where coronavirus is not a thing anymore, just remember we recorded this a while back, but I don't think there's any chance that you're not still under lockdown right now.
Oh my God. What if somebody just found the podcast and they started at episode 1?
No, it's like 50 years in the future.
That's true. This does live on the internet forever. I did forget that. Oh, let's not have that happen. This is it. This is the final part of Watchmen by Sam Hamm, the 1989 script. And I'm excited to see how this finishes up. Will there be a squid? Will there not be a squid? Only time will tell. And it's time to find out.
Previously on Table Reads.
Oh boy, a lot has happened. The comedian has been killed, Dr. Manhattan has left the planet, Rorschach went to prison, there was an attempt on Adrian Veidt's life, and Lori and Dan had the most dramatic arc. Starting as friends, they battle with erectile dysfunction, then admit the super suits were always for fucking anyway, and after a successful visit to Bone Town, they get into a blimp fight. And then finish off their evening by springing Rorschach from prison. When we left off, they were heading out of the prison with Rorschach. Next stop, Antarctica.
Fade in.
Exterior, airstrip, night. Music. A well-concealed runway somewhere in the heart of the Rocky Mountains. Lights sweep the sky as ground crews run to and fro. Air Force One is coming in for a landing. Interior, underground command bunker, a moment later. Lots of activity, armed troops, top brass, and technicians milling about. Flashing panels on the walls read DEFCON 2. Secretary of State Liddy watches as a metal door clangs shut and what looks like a golf cart comes tooling around a long metal ramp. President Nixon's in the passenger seat. Just Nixon in a golf cart. And there's an imposing pile of luggage in the back. He appears to be contemplating a long stay.
Hey, just a side note, we can't hear any of the sound effects or anything like that.
Oh, excellent.
I'm hoping they're working, but I'm just saying we can't.
I will deal with that on the break. But Jeff has a Nixon line.
Hello, Gordon. Have you seen Pat?
She's all settled in. Wait, are you Liddy or am I Liddy?
You can be Liddy.
I'll be Liddy.
The continuity.
What continuity? She's all settled in. They want you down in the command room right away.
Liddy hops aboard, and the golf cart turns down a seemingly endless corridor, which leads deep into the bowels of the Rockies.
Weatherman says we're looking good. We've got a 14-hour window.
14 hours, huh?
14 hours. Unless, of course, the Reds decide to hit us first.
Cut 2. Interior, owl ship, night. Lori's following the Watchmen press coverage on an overhead screen.
In a daring midnight jailbreak, earlier eyewitness reports placed the one-time superheroes at a peace rally in...
Hold on. Sorry, I thought you had more to read. Oh,
No.
that's...
This is the dialogue.
Yeah, it's the way it's broken up.
Formatted, yeah.
We don't have the script on the screen. I was trying to fix that while you had lines. While Dreiberg and Rorschach sit side by side at the control console, occupied by other matters. I don't know if you heard. A hired gunman tried to off Adrian.
Fight's a fool. Trying to warn him about new information. Sicked his mangy cat on me.
What new information?
Blake investigating missing scientists for CTU. Dr. Manhattan somehow involved.
Scratching his chin.
Strange that no one's tried to attack you, Daniel.
There's an unmistakable tone of suspicion in his voice. Thank you for giving us the direction after. Dreiberg.
Right? It keeps fucking me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, how am I supposed to read it? And after it, they're like, oh yeah, do that. I'm like, fuck!
Dreiberg, highly offended, shoots him a look of supreme resentment. I beg your pardon? Some gratitude.
Will you two lovebirds keep it down?
Still grumbling at each other, Dreiberg and Rorschach glance up at the monitor Laurie's watching. The face of Adrian Veidt fills the screen.
The man behind the Watchmen, high-tech wizard Adrian Veidt, was unavailable for comment. A spokesman claimed he had left for Antarctica to study a mysterious hole in the ozone layer.
Ozone layer?
Christ. Couldn't he just admit that he's scared? Cut 2. Exterior, Antarctica, night. The last rays of sunlight bleed towards endless frozen plains of pristine white. A private aircraft descends toward an incongruous strip of black, part of a massive complex of buildings centered around what looks like a nuclear power plant. In fact, it is one. This is Karnak.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's another one of those fantastic reveals. Like,
Right.
what president could this possibly be sitting in the shadows? Fuck, now I lost my spot.
Sorry, I had to point out a funny reveal.
Oh, there we go. This is Karnak, Veidt's Antarctic retreat. Interior, Karnak, night. The entry hall is vast and lavish, appointed in the same Egyptian style as his urban pyramid, but on a grander scale. A fur-clad figure enters in a flurry of snow, followed by a genetically altered lynx on the end of a leash. 4 Asian lackeys appear to greet him. One of them takes his parka. A second serves him hot coffee from a silver tray. A third takes the leash and brushes snow from the back of the lynx. Number 4 is in charge of protocol.
Welcome, sir. We did not expect you so soon.
Fee Bubastis. I'll have dinner when I've looked in on the world.
They hear and obey. 2 of them fall in behind Veidt and follow him too. Oh, I realized what was going wrong with all my setup. 1 second, I can fix this.
Okay.
We need that, like, the
Now this will-
American Indian.
Now this will work properly.
Oh, you do need an intermission asset.
Oh, the please stand by with the Indian head. That's what you meant?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's all go to the lobby.
I can edit that shit in. I'm not gonna, because I'm lazy.
Oh,
But I
mean,
could.
boo.
Can you guys see me on Skype?
Yeah, I can see you.
Oh, weird, because the red light is not on my camera. All right, you know, it's 120 episodes in. We're just getting the hang of this.
If you think you're on the camera, we're on the phone camera.
We're on the camera that's on the desk.
To
Yeah.
your right.
Okay, yeah.
Wait. There?
Yeah, that one.
Oh,
that one.
weird. That's not the right one.
I felt like a serial killer.
Watching you, Shawn.
He's like, from where?
Would you like to play a game?
I have a camera set up for Skype right above the camera that is recording me for
So
YouTube.
we can like look at each other and talk. Like,
Yeah, like it's been that way, but then this one I was like, ooh, wide angle.
Another thing I
yeah,
can
it's-
fix
it's-
during the
it's
break.
showing that we're not there.
Yeah, you guys can just see me being lonely. I'm pretending
man.
my friends are here.
If you just copy and paste us in our spots, like there's nothing different about this video.
squares.
Yeah.
Just my
Don't do
face.
good. Don't do good Shawn McBee Photoshop though. Do shitty Photoshop.
No, I gotta say, as soon as this this whole thing is over, I'm getting life-size cardboard cutouts made of you guys for when
You can borrow mine.
for the next pandemic.
Oh no! Oh.
The next one's the second curve.
COVID 20.
20.
The electric boogaloo.
This time it's personal.
It's always personal. Where are we?
You're in 204.
Yeah, let's do that.
Here we go.
Interior Information Center, night. The room is empty but for a single chair with a complicated remote-controlled keypad mounted on the armrest. Across from the chair, red velvet curtains hang from ceiling to floor. Veet takes a seat, and his lackeys draw back the curtains to reveal a towering wall of televisions, 200 monitors in a 10 by 20 grid, picking up transmissions from all over the world. It's far more informational than the human mind could probably digest at one gulp. A hectic jumble of color and motion. Veet loves it. He settles in, and his eyes begin to rove. Angle on video wall. Panning across transmissions of every variety, commercials, sitcoms, sportscasts. We settle on a screen labeled London. Veet hits the volume button on his remote, and a newscaster's voice comes up. On the wall behind her is a civil defense logo. I'll be this newscaster because you're the guy newscaster and I'm the lady newscaster.
You're lady newscaster.
I'm a lady newscaster.
Ooh, and I get to do a British accent because it's the BBC.
Hello!
Best situated in a cellar room as far away from windows as possible. Cinder block walls are preferred, but a makeshift shelter can be constructed of sandbags or of boxes filled with flick, and the sound dies. You okay, Jeff?
It's
Jeff-
the Rona.
Jeff is
The
dying.
Rona got him.
Yeah, but I died like a pro. I left the chat to be professional.
And kept his headphones on so he knew what was going on. What a
I
champ.
needed to hear you cue me in.
Flick, and the sound dies. Veet's gaze drifts several screens to the right, to the monitor labeled Washington, D.C. Sound up.
Amid rumors that top-ranking officials and military personnel have already been relocated to underground bunkers, White House spokesmen insist there are no such precautions have yet been taken, and that ongoing negotiations.
Flick, sound down. Now we shift to a closed-circuit monitor at the bottom right of the bank, an exterior view of Veet's Antarctic retreat, as seen by a surveillance camera. Flick, same subject, new angle. Flick, a radar screen which shows no activity. The skies are clear. Flick, and now things get downright weird. Because all at once, we're watching Dr. Jonathan Osterman, the Ernest U scientist from 20-some years ago. He's sitting at a table in the Gila Flats canteen, across from Janie Slater, and he's getting ready to propose. Reverse angle on Veet, eyeing young Osterman with a strange, grave smile. Cut 2. Exterior aerial shot, night. Low angle on the owl ship as it descends slowly through the clouds. On its underbelly, a video camera grinds and rotates. Grinds?
It's one of those stealth cameras.
Oh yeah, it's just like janky as shit. It's like
I spent all my money on the flamethrowers.
Interior, owl ship, night. Drieberg and Lori watch a monitor which shows an overhead view of the city. He punches up a series of progressive magnifications, gradually zeroing in on a single city block. It's been cordoned off. Police bubble cars are parked up and down its length. They've got my building surrounded. They must have been following you all along. She stares at him. The ship lurches as Drieberg kicks in the accelerator jets and takes off into the clouds. So much for Dan Drieberg, ordinary citizen.
Welcome back, Night Owl.
What now? Fly south? Hook up with Adrian?
CTU. Could be behind Dr. Manhattan frame up.
What do you mean, frame up?
Obvious pattern. All ties in.
Are you saying that someone would risk starting World War III just to get back at us? What about all those poor shits with cancer? Tight on Lori, who's listening to all this with mounting distress.
How do we know they got cancer? Could be part of massive propaganda scheme.
Come on, Rorschach, give me a break.
It's not. Not what? Not propaganda.
Pause, then blurting it out.
Christ, I'm one of them. I've got it.
Drieberg swivels abruptly in his chair and gapes at Lori, his face bone white. She stares at the floor, afraid to meet his eyes, her grim secret revealed. For an awkward moment, neither of them can think of anything to say. Oh man, do you think I caught a blue dick cancer? I dicked her. I put my dick in her, and that's where she got her cancer.
She got that Smurf puss now. What's up?
Smurf puss.
He's very crass. This one, he's very crass.
Papa Smurf over here.
Also, I'm trying to remember, was there this much scene direction throughout the rest of the script? Because you're reading a lot of like tied in, like.
Oh, you mean like
shot,
actual like
up.
camera direction?
Yeah,
I don't recall. I don't think so. But I mean, this guy, like, he changes up how Rorschach talks every 20 minutes.
That's true. As Rorschach, that is absolutely true.
Then Rorschach, his mind already back on the case, breaks the silence.
Changes everything. Let's get moving.
I just have to interrupt for a second. No, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, don't they not have cancer? Like in the book?
No, they give them cancer, but it's from the government pumping in the gas and shit like that.
That government cancer, I knew it.
Yeah,
Okay,
like radiation.
I must have missed that in the last.
Well, I just want to point this out. Lori's like, no, it's not a scheme. I also have cancer. And Rorschach, the conspiracy theorist to the core, doesn't go, are you a fucking doctor? How do you know? Did you run your own tests?
Are you feeling cancerous?
Like,
yeah, let me
like they told you had cancer. Right. I'm sure they told all of them they had cancer. That doesn't make it not propaganda.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
He's just like,
all dying. Join the army.
He's just like, shrug. Well, that changes everything. I guess everyone really does because she said someone told her she has cancer. You know, one of those, literally here. She was told by a government doctor.
Right. Yep. You definitely have cancer.
Sounds legit.
Did he give you a sucker?
If he gave you one of the red suckers, you definitely have cancer.
That's definitely cancer lollipops.
Cancer lollipops?
One of the blue ones. You like that, didn't you?
Exterior waterfront warehouse. Night. Rorschach is crouched behind an exterior wall of the warehouse. He pries off a couple of loose slats and digs around, swatting angrily at a rat, which scampers out of the hole. The owl ship hovers above. Interior owl ship, that moment. Drieberg, disconsolate, holds Lori quietly gently by the shoulders. Jesus.
Quietly. I should have told you, Dan. I'm sorry. I just wanted things between us to be happy for a while.
It doesn't change a thing, Lori. I love you. He tries to pull her close, but she turns away, her eyes welling up with tears.
I love you too, Dan. Why don't you give me a minute to get myself together, okay?
Why do you sound like a disinterested hooker?
Because I feel like it was so sudden.
Yeah. He's like, we banged once. I love you, you know.
He's like, I love you. She's like,
give me a minute to get myself together.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put, old habit. I always keep my bag by the door.
I'll meet you in Antarctica.
And he gets her, where are you? Oh, I went to the southern one.
The other Arctica.
Other Arctica.
I just forgot I have to get something from the store.
I got my cancer's really acting up today.
I need to get some
God.
I need to buy some matches. But all the cigarettes are match free. Yes.
Yeah, we got those stupid matches.
All right. Exterior warehouse. That moment, night. A distraught Dreiberg descends the rope ladder from the owl ship. Rorschach has uncovered a spare blot mask. With a hiss of satisfaction, he pulls it on over his head. When he turns, he sees Dreiberg staring slack-jawed at an inexplicable sight. Above their heads, the owl ship has begun to glow. Bright blue. Interior, owl ship. That moment, night. Lori backs against the control panel as an iridescent blue corona resolves itself into the figure of Dr. Manhattan.
John, what are you doing here?
I'm not here. I'm still on Mars. I've come to collect you.
It's really funny knowing you're supposed to have the booming voice when it's just you talking. So anyway, sorry. Collect me.
Sorry about that.
You're fine. No, please do it if it's better.
It's awesome.
In the immediate future, we're on Mars. I'm telling you goodbye. You're trying to convince me to cure your illness.
John, no, I can't.
It will happen, Lori. I've already seen it. Neither of us can do anything to change it. Dreiberg's frantically climbing the ladder. He pokes his head inside the cockpit just in time to see Lori reaching out for Dr. Manhattan's hand. Lori! Don't! Hands touch. A shimmering blue halo surrounds Dr. Manhattan and Lori, and the two of them dissolve. Stunned, Dreiberg clambers aboard. There's obviously nothing he can do. Rorschach is only a second or two behind him.
Where's Lori?
I don't think she's coming with us. Dissolve 2. Exterior, Mars, night. A blue slit opens in the sky, mere inches above the Martian surface. Dr. Manhattan steps placidly through, and a moment later, Lori tumbles out behind him. She takes a couple of halting steps, then gasps soundlessly and pitches forward onto the shifting red sands. Dr. Manhattan's gone several paces before he realizes there's a problem. Eventually, though, he turns and spots Lori clawing at the air, trying and failing to draw a breath. He walks patiently back and extends his hand. Lori grabs it and is magically surrounded by a halo of oxygen. The atmosphere. I'm sorry. These things slip my mind.
Jesus. John, I nearly choked. Where are we?
Ignoring her, he turns. She hurries to keep pace with him. Then she stops in her tracks. Before her, in the distance, looms Dr. Manhattan's new abode, a palace of glass, vast and resplendent, towering over the barren sands. At its heart stands a gargantuan ruby-colored hourglass, surrounded by an intricate system of gears and ratchets, spires and pendulums, the guts of a clock, transfigured into a shimmering crystalline castle. Because, as we established in one line where he said that his dad was a watchmaker, his dad was a watchmaker. And that's all the attention we've given that. But we still need the giant clock castle.
She's like, why is this like this? He's like, the whole my dad thing. You all know that story.
I said it one time.
Yeah, everybody knows my dad was a watchmaker.
I mentioned it to the girl I was banging before you, remember? You saw the flashback.
You saw the flashback.
I live here now. He strides placidly forward. Lori, boggled, stumbles along after him. Cut 2. Interior, owlship, night. Tight on the distraught Drieberg, his pained face illuminated by the glow of the instrument panel. Rorschach sits calmly behind him.
Heading south. What's the plan?
We're running, Rorschach. We've got no place to go. We're hightailing it down to Adrian's.
Fights assassin. Leads to follow. Can't just...
Cases! Leads! They don't matter, Rorschach. The world's about to end. If someone is trying to kill us, it doesn't matter.
Coward. Giving up.
Shut up, Rorschach!
Our character choices are making this better.
Rorschach settles back, lets out a soft, thoughtful hiss.
Yes. Sorry, Daniel. You've always been a good friend. I know that. Sorry about Lori.
Okay, let's just... Thank you. For a few moments, they fly on in silence. Rorschach can't leave well enough alone. Deep in thought, he scratches his chin.
Fight's not stupid. Could have angle. Might be good move.
Cut 2. Exterior, Mars. Dr. Manhattan's palace, night. Lori follows Dr. Manhattan up a ruby crystal stairway, which spirals around the exterior of his great glass castle. Off to her side, the enormous gears and ratchets which rim its core are shifting, meshing, like the quartz movement of a fine Swiss watch.
This whole place is ticking. Does it keep time?
Yes. In about 30 seconds, for example, you'll tell me you're sleeping with Drieberg.
You know about me and Dan?
He gives her a cryptic smile and marches up to the next level.
Gotcha.
Time is the key, Lori. If I can unlock the origins of time, I'll finally be able to reconcile quantum physics and relativity. Lori looks at him cross-eyed and heaves a heavy sigh. That was not a jargony sentence to say.
No.
I can reconcile quantum physics and relativity. Like, everybody knows that Einstein didn't hold truck with quantum physics and was worried that it was like completely counter to the theory of relativity, and scientists have been seeking to reconcile the two.
And then Lori just like,
she's like, what?
What? What kind of sandwich does that make?
That's like when in a movie you see someone say like, hey, can you get me the RAM modules for the computer over there? I gotta change the RAM in my computer. And they're like, in English, please?
Right. I need to go download more RAM. John, does anybody know what the hell you're talking about? Dan's just an ordinary guy, but he talks to me. When he looks at me, he's seeing something more than just a collection of atoms.
Then you're sleeping with Drieberg?
Well, you just said, don't act surprised.
That's how time works, Lori. Everything is preordained, even my responses. We're all puppets. I'm just a puppet who can see the strings. 30 seconds. She groans in frustration as they reach a balcony near the pinnacle of the huge glass tower. The Martian plains spread out for miles below them. Above, the stars stretch to infinity. A chill, violent wind whips across their faces. I'll be here for the next year or so. Then I'm going to work my way out toward the edge of the universe. Utterly uncorrupted by man. Isn't it beautiful? She moves to the edge of the balcony, gazes off at the bleak and fissured Martian surface. Suddenly, she feels very alone and frightened.
John, there's something I have to know. Did you love me once?
Yes, I loved you. I left the Earth when I lost you.
Yet, you must have known all along that you'd give me cancer, just being with me.
I didn't give you cancer, Lori. Not you, not the others. I don't know what did.
But you knew that I'd die.
Memories of the future are just like any others. I've tried not to dwell on the unpleasant ones. You won't die of cancer, Lori. There won't be time for that. Lori's blood runs cold as she realizes what he's telling her.
Then it's going to happen. The world's going to end. And you've always known.
Always. Ever since the day I died. He walks a few paces up the crystalline steps and surveys the forbidding Martian landscape. Behind him, Lori buries her face in her hands. Do you understand me, Lori? Do you see what it's been like for me these last years, knowing that everything I knew and loved would be destroyed, and that by leaving Earth, I would be the helpless agent of its destruction?
Then why don't you do something about it?
Because
you can't. I know, it's preordained, so sorry, I forgot. John, this script you're following, who writes it?
Sam Hamm.
I want more money.
I don't know yet. I should be able to tell you in roughly 600 years. That about tears it for Lori. She storms over and grabs him by the shoulders.
I can't stand any more of this. I want to go back. If I'm going to die, I want to be with other people.
Please, Lori, not yet. I've got eons stretching before me, a universe to explore. I'll be alone. You're the last human being I'll ever see.
Table Reads will return after this brief word from our sponsors.
What's up, docs and docettes? Trevor Thompson, the self-appointed Looney Tunes critic here, and if you like old cartoons and watching online reviewers dissect them, then you probably said the same thing I did about 2 years ago. Hey, what the fuck?
Here, watch your language, bud.
Every Saturday morning, I do a brand new commentary of a Warner Brothers short. All throughout the month, I do video essays examining the history of these cartoons. Catch my videos on youtube.com/Ferris Wheelhouse 2, or just use the hashtag Looney Tunes Critic. And now, here's Eric Bauza, the new voice of Bugs Bunny.
You've been listening to the Looney Tunes critic. Ain't he a stinker?
Okay, I'm back.
Now I'm in the proper place, right?
Yes. It's all you, hot dog.
But fixing that meant that I messed up my automation, and I'm going to have to edit some bit out of the middle of the video.
Oh, what bit?
Normally I have it pause the video that it's making right as the ad ends.
Okay.
But it needs to have the it needs to like switch over to the thing, but because I was in Skype, it messed it up, so it didn't pause it. And so I didn't pause the recording until you guys were like walking out of the room.
Oh. Well, that's pretty easy. Just got to trim the little edge off there, and you're good to go.
Yeah, but I prefer to just go click, upload.
Click,
Here you
done.
go,
Yeah.
YouTube.
And we're normally perfect at that. We're pros.
Oh, I also was going to fix the... You guys can't hear special effects and shit, right? You can't hear
Right.
these crickets?
Negative. Like, I didn't know we were taking the break. Like, I was sitting there looking at the script waiting for you, and I looked back up, and you had walked off screen. Like,
Oh,
shit,
yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. We were over half an hour, though, and I found a good stopping spot, so...
It absolutely makes sense. It was just... Like, I looked up, I was like, when's he going to start the next bit? And then Josh just caught on before I did. He was like... Bam, ba-da-da. Trevor Thompson, self-appointed Looney Tune critic here.
All right, how about...
There, I rolled it.
That was for science.
One more hour.
Did you hear that?
And then I got to roll them one more time, and then...
No, I didn't
No, we
hear
did
that.
not hear anything.
Carson's making lemon blueberry bread.
Oh, man.
I'm fucking stoked. I tried my hand at okonomiyaki the other night.
How's that?
Turned out really fucking well.
I can hear that. What was that? Was that police?
I think that was his neighborhood.
Oh, you heard the siren. Oh, good.
Yeah, was that your neighborhood though?
No, this is.
Awesome.
Well, at least you got good guard cats. They're doing their business. Hey, all you cool cats.
I made custard tarts the other day, pastis de Belém, and man, they were fire as fuck. I'm trying to take my last name and like take my namesake and take it seriously, so I've been baking.
See, Carson's the baker. I'm the cook. Like that, we break it down like that. She just doesn't bake as often as I cook, but she's trying to get more into it.
Jessica's the cook and the baker.
I do not bake.
Oh,
I'm
I do
an
both.
awful baker.
I do both.
I like to focus on cooking. I like high heat, throwing shit around, adding spices and shit. I don't like the science and exactness of baking.
It's definitely teaching me how to be a better chef generally. Like, It's like, take your time. There's chemical reactions that have to happen and stuff.
No, I don't want to stare at a bowl. Fuck you, yeast. You're on my time. I can't let this sit in the fridge overnight. I gotta cook it now.
Yeah, it's like I want to eyeball some shit. I don't want to like get out a fucking like gram measuring thing.
Right. Nah, I want to fucking go until it tastes good, motherfucker.
I made dough. I had to make 2 sets of dough. So like the first dough, I beat the shit out of that dough, and it felt like a hard like ball of like a meteorite.
He's like, I know you're not supposed to set up gluten, but how much is too much?
It was not good. So I had to remake the dough earlier.
So I have
some of your homemade pizza.
I have special high gluten flour that I use to make ramen. And when you make that shit, like the cookbook I have literally is like, okay, look, when you make this dough, it's going to look like garbage. You're going to want to throw it away. Don't. It's good. Like it literally is like, for real, you're going to run it through your pasta machine and it's going to tear and look utterly garbage. If you've ever made any kind of dough before, you're going to be like, oh, I done fucked up. You didn't. Calm down. You go through this process like 8 times, you're going to be like, oh, this is dough. And that's how that works.
It's so nice. Josh the baker.
I'm trying my best.
Anyway, we're in Shawn's face now. We can see his facial reactions, his disapprovals, his approvals, though not many. But we will carry on with his goodwill here.
By the way, I'm doing a new thing. You guys couldn't hear it before because you can't hear any of the music or anything, but now you will. So I want to let you know. I've had a couple different people say, like, oh, man, the only thing is sometimes it's hard to tell when you guys are reading the script and when you're just making shit up.
Yes.
So when we go off script, I've started to mute the music to help differentiate that.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
And I don't
That's
know.
a lot of fucking work, though.
I don't know if it's gonna like just sound like the music's cutting out for some reason, or if it's gonna actually delineate that. But I'm trying real hard.
That'd be a good thing. Like, I mean, when we're all in the studio with you, it'd be nice that maybe we all can have that for when we have a thought. That way you don't have to be like, oh, wait a second. And then you like press the pause.
You're right. I should absolutely
do.
rewire everything so that you can do that.
Yeah. Now he gets it.
You guys ready to jump back in?
Fucking A.
Yeah, ready to go.
I'm in the middle of some good reading right now. There's some drama happening.
Lights, camera, action.
So the movie's kaput, which means your script ain't worth the buffalo shit on a nickel.
Now, back to table reads.
So there's something really important I wanted to say that we did not acknowledge last week, and that is that last week was Josh's 50th episode of Table Reads.
Hey!
Wow, I've done this a lot of times. That's crazy.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, actually. And soon, that will make Josh the longest-running Table Reads co-host of all time. We just got to get through, like, another script or so, and you'll be there.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
I didn't know I was fucking working
Come
with
at me,
Table
Jeff.
Reads royalty
Come at me,
here.
Jeff. What the fuck?
I got
You wanna throw down?
somehow pass him. We need to get him some roles where he doesn't read.
Jeff's going to show
don't
up one
worry.
day and going to be like, Josh got in an accident.
I recorded 3 scripts on my own. Does that get me somewhere?
He got the Rona.
He got the Rona. He's busy.
All right, so let's see what's going on in Antarctica as we try to push through the next 13 pages. Maybe I
Here we
should have
go.
not taken the break right at half an hour. We shall see.
Fade in.
Exterior, Antarctica. Wait, nope. That's not where I am.
We're
Ah.
we're at 216.
Cut to aerial shot on the owl ship, night. The owl ship streaking through the icy stratosphere above the South Atlantic. Suddenly, it bounces in midair, jerks to the right, and begins to spiral downward into the clouds. Interior owl ship, that moment, night. Dreyberg is frantically throwing switches as they lurch to and fro. Finally, he manages to get the ship righted. Rorschach's taken a bad tumble. He picks himself up off the cabin floor and asks,
What happened?
"The guidance system's fried. I had to switch to manual. Some kind of massive electromagnetic shockwave.
What caused it?
I don't know. Nothing that I can think of outside of a nuclear blast." Dissolve 2. Exterior, Antarctica. Karnak, night. Vite's vast complex is little more than a dim glow, barely visible through a swirling blizzard. Interior, Karnak. Information room. Like an information desk, Like, there's just a lady sitting there. How can I assist you?
Are you here to stop plans or add to them?
Veet sits before his video wall, sipping mulled wine from a goblet. And they don't know he's a bad guy?
He's so fucking metal.
He's got a goblet. Good guys don't drink from goblets.
I'll take the wine and put it in something devious. I'll be in front of the TV wall.
Simultaneously, two screens labeled Moscow and Washington, D.C. go to sudden blinding white. A second later, the screens show nothing but random video noise. Veidt leans back in his chair and cocks an eyebrow, seemingly unperturbed. Exterior, Antarctica, night. The Owlship streaks downward through a total whiteout. Interior, Owlship, that moment. Through the cockpit, Karnak's visible, for an instant. Then, lost in the snow again. I'm taking her down. Radar's blown. I'll have to wing it. Strap in, Rorschach. The ship rocks with the force of a premature impact. Exterior, Antarctica, on Owlship, that moment. The Owlship takes a hard bounce against the snow. The hull crumples as the craft tips sideways and plows into a deep drift. A hatch springs open, and Dreiberg and Rorschach dig their way out. They're slightly underdressed for this weather. Spotting the lights of Karnak in the distance, they turn up their collars and press on. Interior, Karnak, information room, that moment. Veet's eyeing the closed circuit security monitor, which shows the exterior of the complex. He spots two tiny figures slogging through the blizzard. As he watches, the screens for London and Paris go white. Exterior, Karnak, a moment later. Dreiberg and Rorschach, half frozen and covered in frost, make it to the great metal entry doors and start banging. I thought it said start hanging. So they're like,
just pull up.
Okay, we got here.
Banging.
So how have you been?
Oh, I legit thought you meant they just started banging. He's like, no, not again. He's like, it's the costumes, Rorschach. The costumes.
Rorschach, Lori's gone. You're the only one here now.
Can you make the blots on your face look like Lori, just even vaguely for me?
Just put on the mask and the Rorschach mask.
You just got out of prison. You should be used to this.
A woman's. Welcome to Karnak.
Wait. Hold on. No, I didn't finish. I just got up to banging and then had to talk.
I got the banging and I didn't finish.
Darn it.
A video camera mounted over the door rotates into position. A soothing, computerized woman's voice announces,
Welcome to Karnak. Please identify yourself.
Adrian, it's Dreiberg. For God's sake, open the doors. Nothing happens. Dreiberg pounds against the doors. Adrian, we're freezing to death out here. He slumps to the ground exhausted, barely able to draw breath. The snow lies in 4-foot drifts against the door.
He's not coming, Daniel.
Interior, Karnak, information room, that moment. On the surveillance monitor, Rorschach and Dreiberg shamble off. Veet stands, hits the remote. The picture dies, leaving a mere 199 screens in operation. The wall is now checkerboarded with monitors showing nothing but video snow. As Veet strides calmly out of the room, Prague goes white. Exterior, Karnak, night. Dreiberg on his knees, half buried in snow. He topples forward, unable to go on. A pair of gloved hands enter frame and yank him upward. Can't move. We're done for.
Come on. Found an exhaust vent.
Rorschach drags the helpless Dreiberg around the side of the complex, where snow blows in flurries at the mouth of a tunnel-like structure.
Veidt, It's been fine all along. He'll pay for this.
Interior Karnak, dining hall, night. Veidt alone at a long table in his cavernous dining hall, coolly eating dinner. Behind him, above the mammoth entry doors, hangs a tapestry, Alexander slicing through the Gordian knot. Two battered figures creep silently into the hall. Veidt sits calmly, betraying nothing. At his side, the mutant lynx growls. His hand closes tightly around the scruff of the animal's neck. Quiet girl. Rorschach reaches into his trench coat and pulls out a what is that word?
Rhodopsin flasher?
A
Rhodospin?
Rhodopsin flasher, the same weapon Captain Metropolis used in the opening scene. Suddenly, Veidt whirls. He flings a platter, frisbee style, across the hall. It catches Rorschach on the chin and sends him sprawling. Dryberg backs against the wall in horror as the lynx comes sprinting toward him, teeth bared. Veidt claps his hands twice, and the cat relents. He reaches for a futuristic stun gun, which has been lying on the table all along, part of the place settings, and advances on his old colleagues. Adrian, what are you doing? Why wouldn't you let us in?
He's the one. He's been the one all along, stalking us.
Adrian, you? You killed Blake? And...
Yeah. Why would he say yeah?
Because he's
Would he
saying
say
yeah.
yes? Like, he would say indeed or some shit like that, but not yeah, dude. Like,
it sounds like he's it sounds like he's distracted. He's like looking at his nails like, yeah, that shit was me.
yeah.
No, he actually sounds like a Bubsy because he's like, yeah, see?
Yeah, see?
On a little project.
All right, I'm going to try it again.
I actually want him to be like, yeah, that shit was me.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Fuck you think,
See,
bitch.
see, I've been working on a little project. Top secret, of course.
Sorry, I lost my place. The missing scientists.
Uh-huh. You might recognize the names. Quite a few of them worked at Gila Flats.
Gila Flats, place where John turned into.
Dr. Manhattan, right. Now, if you boys care to join me, we'll go save the world.
Interior, Karnak. A moment later, night. Gun in hand, Veidt marches them through the halls of Karnak. Rorschach throws an occasional glance behind him. The lynx is nipping at his heels.
Blake thought the Russians were trying to spirit off our researchers to create their own nuclear Superman. It wasn't Russia. It was me. When he figured that out, of course, I had to kill him. The rest of it, Rorschach's capture, my assassination, that was just to keep you busy. All that really mattered was getting rid of Dr. Manhattan.
What?
I couldn't let him interfere with my project.
Veidt, you're the one who started World War III.
No, I just hastened the inevitable. He's been ready to blow for years. I knew all it would take was a little push, so I gave his friends and associates cancer.
Lori? You're responsible for... Veidt reaches into his pocket for his gold cigarette case. He pulls out a smoke and strikes it against the box.
One thing I've learned about cancer, it's much easier to generate than it is to cure.
Dryberg, enraged, charges at him. The lynx roars. Veidt swings the stun gun across Dryberg's face, knocking him to the floor. And levels the futuristic weapon directly at his head.
Let's get something straight. If you try that again, I'll kill you without a moment's thought.
They've reached the entrance to Veidt's information room. 200 screens blink and flicker as he waves the gun, gesturing them inside.
Call off the cat, and I'll kill you, Veidt.
Deal!
Yeah, right. Pretty good bargainer.
Sold. Before you do that, you might want to look at what I've been looking at.
Interior information room, a moment later. Vite points them over to the monitor in the bottom right-hand corner. On screen, the young John Osterman sits in a lab at Gila Flats, reassembling a watch. What is this? It looks like John.
It is John. 24 years ago. Before he turned into Dr. Manhattan.
Good Lord. How'd you get it on tape?
It's not on tape. It's live. We're watching it happen.
Cut to exterior Mars, Dr. Manhattan's palace, night. Dr. Manhattan peers off the edge of a balcony, while behind him, Lori dines at a sumptuously appointed table. She feels as if she's hit the jackpot in some freakish contest, win a dream date on Mars. I almost envy you, Lori. In my present form, I can't die. It's a mystery I'd like to penetrate.
John, I don't want to hear it.
I'm sorry. Look, there's a gas storm on the Valles Minarius.
Oh God, I'm no more than a bug on a windshield to you.
You're the only human being I care for.
Then do me a favor. If the world's gonna end, it shouldn't matter a bit. I want you to cure me.
I won't do that.
You have the power to do it. I want you to do it. Please.
I explained this. I can't. That's not the way it happens.
John, if you ever love me, if there's anything human left in you, then do it.
Eyes wild, she grabs his great blue hand and thrusts it into her chest, where it disappears up to the wrist. Her fingers tighten around his forearm. Their gazes lock. Dr. Manhattan shuts his eyes and grimaces, as if he's got to make the hardest decision of his life. And then, a brilliant blue aura engulfs them both. It spreads and grows in intensity, suffusing the sky, finally blotting out the vast Martian landscape altogether. With a sudden pop, the aura begins to die. For a split second, we see the figures of Lori and Dr. Manhattan suspended against a great white void. Then colors begin to appear. The crystal castle and the Martian desert gradually materialize around them. The two stumble back from each other and stand there like statues, awestruck. Neither one seems quite sure what's happened.
What? Am I?
Cured. Yes. Utterly spent, he staggers to the edge of the balcony, grabs a handrail for support. He looks like a man who's just had a heart attack.
John, what is it? What's the matter?
When he looks up at her, he's desolate, his face filled with dread. Something incomprehensible has happened. It's all gone blank on me. I can't remember the future. Slowly, very slowly, she draws near and puts her arms around him.
John, let's get back to Earth.
Cut to interior, Karnak, lab area, night. Vite, Dryberg, and Rorschach enter a lab space, which puts the IF room at Gila Flats to shame. In the midst of the massive whirring machinery sits a glowing blue dome, a bubble of pure energy. Inside its shimmering contours is a little corner of Gila Flats. John Osterman tightens a screw and sets the movement of Janie's watch into its brass housing, totally oblivious to the strange trio watching him from 24 years in the future.
Gentlemen, the past, unfolding before your eyes. Stand back from the field, it'll blow you to bits.
What is it? How does it work?
It's a tachyon chamber. It generates subatomic particles which flow backward in time. There are other worlds, Daniel. Other timelines, existing parallel to our own.
Adrian, you've lost it.
I've seen them. I've seen them in there.
This next part's you as well.
In some of them, only a few, the human race survives. And it survives because Dr. Manhattan never existed.
He draws closer to the tachyon bubble. Off to one side is the camera which feeds the monitor in the video room, and beside it, mounted on a tripod, is a high-powered telescopic rifle.
The creation of Dr. Manhattan was a flashpoint in history. He threw the world balance of power totally out of whack, and his absence, for even a week, virtually guaranteed a catastrophic war. Do you understand now? Do you see what I'm going to do? I'm going to change the past.
Quick sidebar. That's not the plan, right?
I mean, it's the only plan they're talking about in this script.
It is in this script. It's
But I mean,
completely off the rails now.
in the comics, that's
we're out.
100% not the plan, right?
You
I don't
said
remember.
to squid or not to squid. He chose not to squid.
I don't remember
No squid.
any of this.
It's because it didn't exist. Because you don't remember the past. Your
Also,
tachyon
yeah,
not
I don't
awesome.
remember John not remembering the future, like curing Laurie's like. He's just like, you know
Also
what?
wanna-
The seminal comic book story of the generation is great, but it could use a new third act.
What? Yeah, take the story of a good guy being able to have himself deemed the worst person in the universe to save everyone, and let's just make this bad guy, and he's gonna shoot him. He's gonna shoot him, and also like. Dr. Manhattan being able to see tachyons and see time and space simultaneously, it works cool because it's like in a mysterious way. It's almost like his mind is traveling and rewinding the pictures. But watching the past on a television, like whose point of view is it from? Like what is it attached
What
to?
camera
Yeah.
is recording that, right? And like
Well,
beaming it
the
to
way
me.
I'm seeing
Right.
this, it seems like he's actually built a time bubble in his lab. That he's actually seeing that event live, and he's got a camera set up in the room pointing into that time bubble.
Oh,
There's
and
also a gun. It didn't
Yes.
say there was a person holding the gun. It's just a gun.
Yeah, he's like, check out that sweet gun I got in there, bro. He's got his own room.
So you know how people are like, I'm gonna go back in time and kill Hitler. This dude's like, I'm gonna go back in time and kill Superman.
He's like, I'm gonna kill Dr. Manhattan, but not the one. All of them. I'm gonna spend the rest of my life killing Dr. Manhattans, putting watches together.
And that's the other thing, just from a quantum physics time travel perspective, if he shoots this John Osterman, all he's doing is creating an alternate world in which there's no Dr. Manhattan. It doesn't do anything for his world. He may as
No,
well
not at all.
He may as well just walk into the bubble instead of killing him and go, hey, you want to grab the watch and walk out right now before something terrible happens to you.
Yeah.
Why does he have to kill him?
Why doesn't he go into the past and put a sign on the door that says no watches or electronic devices? Like, that's how he fixes the future.
Just everything
With
is
safety
wrong with this
With a
plan.
safety sign?
Yeah. He just writes the OSHA handbook that says claim to fame. I saved the world.
That's just like an MRI sign. That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all he does.
It's like
Just
no
goes
metal
past
beyond this point. We're
And he's
talking to
watching
you,
John.
Dr. Osterman.
He's like watching his screen after he does a deed, and it's John and his friend walking up, and he's like, "Oh, we can't wear watches anymore? When did that start?" He's like, "I don't know. I guess they put it up yesterday." He's like, all these rules and restrictions. He's just taking it off. He's like, "I did it."
And he's like, maybe now I'll live long enough to actually get that photo with my fiance that I don't ever get because I get vaporized into a thing. And do you remember the photo?
Yeah.
There's like a photo of him posing with her and she's got the ring on, but that never happened because he proposed to her and immediately ran away and then became Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
All I know about John is that he turns into Dr. Manhattan, and his dad was a watchmaker. The only two things the script has really told me about him.
Also,
And he definitely doesn't give you cancer.
also he's definitely into a one-man finger cuff operation.
What a callback.
Actually, maybe that photo is a call forward. Maybe the photo isn't a mistake. Maybe it's from one of these alternate timelines that he's talking about where he doesn't become Dr. Manhattan.
I got you. I'll figure this out. samham@aol.com.
Hey, bro, when you wrote that shitty script.
No, it may still happen because, like, we see Dr. Manhattan pick that up. Maybe we're meant to think, like, wait a second, that didn't happen. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. Let's find out. Exterior, outer space, that moment. Dr. Manhattan and Laurie materialize in orbit around the Earth, enveloped in a bubble of oxygen. Far below, the nuclear birds are already aloft. Tiny pinpricks of light flash out over New York and San Francisco.
We're too late.
It's very strange. Time's flowing backwards.
John, what?
The South Pole. Time's flowing backwards. Interior, Karnak, lab, that moment. Inside the tachyon chamber, John Osterman fits the glass crystal back into place on Janie's watch. Veet looks on in fascination.
At first, we could only watch the past. Now we can reach out and touch it.
He steps over to the rifle, peers through the telescopic sight.
It ate up enough megawatts to light the eastern seaboard for a year and a half. But last week I managed to open a dime-sized hole for almost 3 seconds. In a minute I'll do it again, and if my aim is true, I'll put a bullet through John Osterman's heart. Dr. Manhattan will never be born.
That should be never have been born. Let's get our tenses right, Mr. Veet.
Jesus.
Yeah, why don't you put down your time rifle and learn some grammar, you asshole?
Shit.
Draberg and Rorschach trade looks of disbelief.
And they call me a fucking nut.
Adrian, it's too late. The world is blowing up as we stand here.
Don't be obtuse, Daniel. If I killed John in the past, none of this will happen. We won't even be here, will we?
And what if you're wrong?
I'm not.
What if you're wrong?
Then I've been a very bad boy and you'll have to spank me. Christ! I'm doing what I have to do to save the godforsaken human race.
Exterior, Antarctica, that moment, night. A pocket of blue haze materializes in the snow-swept skies above Karnak. Inside it, Laurie and Dr. Manhattan. That's it. That's the source of the time disturbance.
John, where are we?
Veet's complex. Interior, Karnak, lab, that moment. 24 years ago, John Osterman is packing his jeweler's tools, folding his swatch of black velvet. In the present, Veet is raving.
Your problem, Dan, is a lack of vision. You spent all those years chasing after muggers and drug dealers and jaywalkers as if the world was any better for it. And if any of it mattered.
You ruthless son of a bitch. You really believe this mad scientist bullshit is gonna save the world?
We'd better hope so. It's almost time.
He kicks a floor switch. Giant nuclear generators begin to hum. Then he bends over the rifle and peers through the sight. Veet's POV, through crosshairs. In the past, John Osterman is reaching for his lab coat when he hears a squeak. He picks up a broom. Interior, Karnak lab, that moment. A luminescent white spot appears on the surface of the tachyon bubble. There's a hideous whine as a tiny hole begins to open up directly in front of Veit's rifle. His finger closes around the trigger, and with a terrible crash, the lab wall collapses behind him. Veet dives backwards, dodging rubble, as a blue giant 30 feet tall steps into the lab with Laurie at his side. What are you doing, Veet?
John, get back! You don't understand!
Dr. Manhattan stares down at the tachyon bubble and sees himself, his former self, chasing a mouse out of the IF chamber at Gila Flats. His eyes go wide. Even he's surprised. In the ensuing panic, Dreiberg dives at Veidt. Veidt manages to sidestep him, frantically trying to get to his rifle. The hole in the bubble has grown to the size of a quarter. Veidt lunges toward the rifle. Laurie's directly in his path. He shoves her aside. They grapple. He flings her to the ground and points his stun gun directly at her. And a millisecond later, he's aiming at nothing. Dr. Manhattan has instantaneously teleported Laurie across the room, out of the line of fire. Veidt looks up in horror, just in time to see a blue bolt of lightning launching itself from Dr. Manhattan's outstretched finger.
No!
And in the wink of an eye, he's vaporized. All that's left is a pair of charred boots, still standing upright. Wait, what? Hold on now?
Whoa.
Jeff, care to weigh in?
This is 1 for 1. I remember all this vividly. Yeah, this is absolutely somebody that took a. I'm guessing he just was like, that whole thing where, ends justifying the means and all that. Like, what if it was just plain? Because I don't want to think about it.
What if the
he's
good guys win?
Yeah, that's a new story, right? Everybody go to the movies.
What if
to
we
see
did
that, right?
Watchmen, but like without any of that moral ambiguity?
Right.
Yeah, I don't have to think about a movie. I'm just here to eat popcorn.
He kills the bad guy who was trying to kill him with a time bullet.
I mean, I hope there's more to this. I hope Adrian pops out of the closet and he's like, "You fell for my weird clone," or something.
That's great.
No, Dr. Manhattan, he's like, I have a change of heart. Poof, all the nuclear things go away and he's fine.
Now all is right with the world. The good guys have won, like in real life.
I just can't believe what I just read, honestly. That's
so much.
Wow, okay. Dreiberg rushes over to Laurie, takes her in his arms.
What was he doing?
Trying to change the past. He said it was the only way to save the world. Dr. Manhattan stares at the tachyon bubble, mesmerized. Inside, the door to the IF chamber has just swung shut on a terrified John Osterman. He was right.
Fuck that guy. He was right, but I didn't.
Rorschach, Laurie, and Dreiberg stare up at the blue behemoth in puzzlement. Oh, are they trying to give him like a comic book nickname? Like, the Scarlet Speedster.
Blue Behemoth?
The Blue Behemoth!
He wins. He wins today. I love that Laurie followed him from Mars, and the only thing she understood is that he just, disintegrated Veidt. And then after it was done, she's like, yeah, what was he doing? I mean, I'm sure he had it coming, but...
What a dick.
What was his plan exactly? So when I get interviewed about this, I can give him some good answers.
Just so we get our story straight, why did we vaporize the smartest man in the planet? For my memoir. I gotta know.
Shit.
Rorschach, Laurie, and Dreiberg stare up at the blue behemoth in puzzlement. Dr. Manhattan begins to shrink to normal size. He runs his hand over the surface of the tachyon bubble. Bright blue sparks shoot off in all directions. He did it. Veidt broke the code. It's so elegant. It's so obvious. Dr. Manhattan's off in another world, as usual. He wears a beatific smile as he watches his own imminent destruction in the tachyon chamber.
Sorry. John.
Space and time. I finally understand, Laurie. I see it all now.
John, for God's sake, what do you see?
I see what the watchmaker made. I see the universe. He lifts his arms. Particles of light appear from nowhere and whiz around his body like super accelerated fireflies. The lights in the room dim. It's as if Dr. Manhattan is absorbing all the power of the world into his own massive frame.
Oh boy.
My work here is finished. The others cower. They sense that something large is about to happen. In the past, John Osterman is pounding on the glass of the test chamber. In the present, Dr. Manhattan reaches out to touch the tiny hole in time. He does, and in a blaze of blinding blue light, the tiny rift expands into a shimmering fissure. Dr. Manhattan peels back its edges and steps through into the past. Interior test chamber. That moment. Oh God. Is he going back so he can fuck himself before he's blue?
I don't know. He ain't probably done that yet.
The concept of so the concept of Dr. Manhattan being able to see time simultaneously in a linear fashion means that if you can see the future, you are always living in the past. Constantly. You can change the past by changing the present if you see the future. That was the whole point of it. Fuck, this is dumb.
You can
I don't like this anymore.
change the past by changing the present if you see the... Whoa.
Correct. If you can see the future, you're living in the past. Even though
The
you're
past
in
of the
present.
future, but not the past of your present.
Yeah, but the present becomes the future. Yeah, no, he had none of these conversations before he wrote this fucking thing.
Okay, let's finish this fucker. I'm about done with this script.
This is like a Blu-ray alternative ending that like they're like, this is the one we didn't shoot because it's fucking stupid.
Yeah. This one did not test well for some reason. So we only have the animatics for it.
Yeah, it's just drawings and shit. There you go.
Interior test chamber, that moment. John Osterman turns away from the observation panel. To his utter bewilderment, a huge blue figure, surrounded by sparks and smiling gloriously, has materialized in the chamber behind him. Don't be afraid, John. I'll be here with you. A second before the particle cannons kick in, Dr. Manhattan steps forward and fuses with John, their bodies becoming one. For a moment, John is still visible, with Dr. Manhattan's frame surrounding him, like a translucent shield of pure energy. Then Dr. Manhattan coalesces into a solid protective husk around him. Oh. As the chamber begins to glow, a network of hairline cracks spreads across the shell of his body. Blue light spills through the seams. He spreads his hands. No in pain, but in triumph. And
No in pain.
No in pain. And with a blinding flash, Dr. Manhattan explodes outward. A
that was way better.
A million fragments merging with nothingness. To expose a dumbstruck John Osterman in his place. The blue light dims and the chamber reverts to normal. Miraculously, he's alive, astonished, but perfectly intact. Interior, Gilaflax's test lab, a moment later. The time-locked door pops open and John staggers out into the midst of his odd colleagues who have seen everything through the observation panel.
What in the name of God?
The scientists advance cautiously toward the chamber. Janie, sobbing, rushes forward and throws her arms around the dazed John. As she clings to him, her face pressed tightly against his chest, he looks down at his hands. His fist is still closed around... Your watch, Janie. I fixed your watch.
Look!
The scientist is staring wide-eyed at the rear wall of the chamber, which isn't there. Instead, there's a rippling, irregular rupture, a pulsating hole in time, and visible beyond it are three odd-looking and very frightened figures: Dreiberg, Lori, and Rorschach.
In their stupid fucking costumes. Who the fuck are these future people?
Reversing. Is there like a pervert club on the other side of that wall that we didn't know about?
Yeah, they look like a bunch of fucking kinky people. They're like kinky people space time. Like,
get them out of here. My life's work just exploded and did nothing.
They're just all jerking off. Like,
God, the tachyon chamber did nothing.
about to attack your ions.
Got me.
Reverse angle. Veets lab, the present. Dreiberg, Lori, and Rorschach stare through the rupture at the astounded scientists.
What happened?
He saved himself. He changed the past.
Where did he go?
Before Dreiberg can suggest an answer, the cleft in time begins to throb and shimmer, slowly sealing itself off before their eyes. For a moment, everything's back to normal. And then, to their mounting horror, the room they're in begins to dissolve around them, fading away into a blank white void. A sudden percussive pop. The white void seems to shrivel around them, collapsing into a protective bubble of force as they plunge into exterior vortex effect. This is getting so bad.
Wow.
I hate it when they take all the stakes that you built up and then just take them away. Like,
also, if time is changing, why the fuck would they be immune to that? Well, why would they remain from the old timeline and dropped into the new timeline?
They wouldn't.
Right, because we would have lost Vietnam.
It's because they rubbed tachyon particles on their nuts.
Of course, yes. I don't know how I didn't think of that.
Oh boy.
Welcome to the kinky tachyon party.
Dreiberg, Lori, and Rorschach spinning and tumbling through an other-dimensional funhouse of sound and color.
Like a cartoon.
If it's like the opening of the Beetlejuice cartoon.
Yeah.
I love that with everything in history being changed now, the one constant because Lori exists is that the comedian rapes that chick. no matter how much they change the timeline.
The only constant is rape.
Right.
Why aren't you laughing?
Anyway, continue reading about this vortex effect.
If space and time could be compressed into a single extravagant e-ticket joyride, this would be it. Their bodies contract and distend, warp and elongate. Their tortured mouths emit soundless shrieks, and then, before they know it, they find themselves deposited. Exterior, New York Street, night. Smack in the middle of a busy intersection. Hold on. Oh, god damn it. I don't know why, but I tried to play city background sound effects, and just nothing happened.
Hey, can I borrow $1?
I'm walking here.
Yeah.
Honk, honk.
So good.
The three of them materialize from nowhere. A southbound van swerves to avoid them, slamming into a row of parked cars, and a northbound taxicab does the same, knocking over a fire hydrant. Lori.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was over. Dan, is this New York?
Those cars. What year is this?
Everything's changed.
It's a disorienting world they've landed in. In fact, it's our world, our New York, and everything, the cars, the clothing, the very look of the city, seems just a trifle out of whack.
We never happened.
Look, I've been in this new version of the world for 30 seconds. I can tell you exactly what the changes are. Fuck this script.
Holy shit.
Bystanders cluster about, laughing and taunting, highly amused by the obvious puzzlement of the freakish trio in their midst. I just got to point out something about New York. No.
Right. Yeah, no, they just keep walking.
They wouldn't even be phased.
Not even a little
look at
bit.
These freaks.
They could be bleeding to death, and they'd be like, nope, keep walking.
Is Sam Hamm from Nebraska?
The New York,
Definitely the Midwest.
The New York depicted in the comics wasn't like some fantasy world. Like it wasn't like way off in the fucking distance. I know you got the ships and shit, but like in general, it's not like a fucking culture shock. It's like, wow, you got gangs here too, and newspapers. And
well, I mean, I think that they're seeing like gas guzzling cars instead of electric cars.
Nobody's smoking out of those crack pipes that you've made.
I mean, some people are, but they're actual crack pipes.
Right, because I know in the comics the science advanced way further because of Dr. Manhattan, because of that inspiration and shit. But like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I'm nitpicking at this point. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the cars are different and the cigarettes are different, and beyond that, that's all. Like that might stand out to them a bit, but like, I don't know. I feel like they need longer just to get over not being in the South Pole anymore.
This ain't our New York. Completely different alien world we're on.
I mean, we just went through spaghettification, but oh shit, these cars look weird. What?
Damn it. Whatever.
Jeff's checking out.
I'm trying.
Come on, let's knock it out. Let's finish it. Let's knock it out.
There are, of
Then
course,
we can talk.
There are, of course, no costumed heroes in our world, and their sudden presence prompts a babble of speculation amongst the onlookers. Nuts? Fruits? Out-of-work actors? Rorschach takes a swing at one of the curious, who gets a touch too close, and the mood begins to turn hostile. The crowd, now grown to several dozen people, is threatening to block the intersection altogether. A mounted policeman rides up on his stallion and blows a shrill whistle. In our timeline, all the horses are electric too.
They're treating this like it's Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's good.
That's so good, actually. Oh my god, they still ride around on horses.
Yep.
Exterior newsstand that moment. The same newsstand we've seen all along, but luckily here in our world, the headlines are only mildly discouraging. Russian summit talks collapse. Like everyone else, our old friend the news vendor is gaping at the ruckus on the street.
Jesus Christ, it must be Halloween.
His sidekick, the small black kid who reads comic books, points to the befuddled trio on the street and laughs in gleeful recognition.
Shit, man, it's Rorschach and Night Owl.
What are you talking about?
Superheroes, check it out.
He thrusts a comic book into the news vendor's hand and races off to join the growing throng of rubberneckers. The news vendor stares down at the costume characters in the comic book, Watchmen, and throws a cockeyed squint at their real-life counterparts on the street.
All right, they must be on a case.
Fuck this. Exterior street, that moment, night. Horns blare. All traffic has stopped. The intersection is mobbed with curious onlookers. By now, a half-dozen beat cops have arrived to clear the streets and restore order.
Break it up. Stand back.
Come on, you three. Is this some kind of publicity stunt?
Draber, Glory, and Rorschach have fallen into a tight circle. They don't know what to expect, and they're poised for a brawl. The taunting crowd gives them plenty of room. Even the cops are hesitant to advance.
Dan, what do we do now?
Wherever we are, it's better than what we left. Backs together.
We'll tell them what's happened. They'll listen to reason, won't they? They better.
And on Rorschach's final vicious hiss, we shock cut to black and fade out.
The end.
That's embarrassing.
Wow.
Embarrassingly bad ending.
The cringe thing is that I can imagine him sitting at home at his computer, and he's like, "This is gonna blow their minds. Like they're gonna see them, and there's a comic book of the Watchmen. Wow." Thanks. I hate it.
I think that's broken my spirit. Though, honestly, I would watch a whole movie of just them explaining what happened.
I would watch a whole movie. Yeah, I would watch half that movie, as long as the first half is flashbacks to them beating up random people on the street for looking at them and laughing.
Oh, I love it. Nobody does that. Nobody gives a shit. They just like point and laugh and walk by. Like they're not like,
if
oh,
that
I'm gonna be
even
aggressive at you, motherfucker. Like
I think more likely, you glance up and you just look down because you don't want to make eye contact because they might ask you for money.
Yeah, the creepies wearing the leather costumes. Like
You don't take last stand formation like on a crowd of 12 people in New York. Just going about their days like, backs together, motherfuckers. We're to have to fight.
Holy shit, they have horses!
He's taking fucking swings. This is bystanders. He's like, I'm gonna fucking punch you. All solutions to all problems are punches.
He's eyeballing that horse. You're about to get punched, officer.
Punch you. I'm gonna turn you into glue, motherfucker.
And what the fuck is with that kid? Oh, they must be on a case. Motherfucker, they're comic book characters. If you see Superman and Batman walking down the road, you don't think, oh shit, some shit must be going down. You think, oh, there's some assholes dressed as Superman and Batman.
Nice costume.
Yeah,
Or wow,
let's
let's
take a
take more
picture.
time on that. Like,
Can I get a picture real quick?
Yeah,
Take this way. Get away from me.
not like, oh fuck, I hope there's no Joker gas around here.
Also, you just landed in the one of the most expensive cities in America. You got to find a place to live. Like, you got to start a whole new life. This is fucked up. Dr. Manhattan fucked all y'all.
yeah, he did.
Yeah. Also in a completely nonsensical way. Guys, I hated it. I fucking hated it.
I was holding it together with a really thin line of just this super shallow version, right? It's just one man's opinion on what that comic stood for, and it wasn't a very deep opinion. And then in the end, he just went off the fucking rails. That the time bullet, Dr. Manhattan killing Vite and then doing the plan anyway. Like, it's like,
Now here's the question.
I'll do it.
Is this even the end?
No, they set it up so they could have a Watchmen 2.
Watchmen 2, Watchmen in New York, Watchmen take Manhattan.
Watchmen escape from New York.
Oh my god, there's a whole series.
You got Dan Dreiberg trying to figure out how to make a new owl ship out of a VW bug.
They actually took the sequel to this movie and just made Coneheads instead.
Nanu.
Yeah, they try to explain, as they said in the end of the script here, they're trying to explain what actually happened, and in the end they just go, "We come from France!" That's gonna have to suffice.
Even the thing where Dr. Manhattan. So I think they touched on it in the scene on Mars. I'm probably letting shit run together, but like, you know, him finally coming to terms that he wants to save Earth because he realizes that life itself is actually a miracle because it's such a occurrence of such random events. And then it turns out deep down in his heart, the only thing he wished he could do was actually change events, but the whole time he's like, I can't interfere. I see the future. I can't change anything. But the moment he gets a shot, he's like, ooh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take that fucking shot. What the fuck?
I don't even have words. I can't.
I liked most of it.
It was mostly okay.
Mostly it was all right because the source material is hard to fuck up, but then they like took all of the major points and just destroyed them. Like,
okay, so summary of the whole script. We start with a fuck up at the Statue of Liberty that we didn't need. And then there's a bunch of Cliff's Notes of Watchmen, and then shit just goes off the fucking rails and into Dumbtown.
I completely forgot about the Statue of Liberty.
yeah, right? That part.
Holy shit. It was worse than what I thought.
Remember that time when it sucked more?
Well, I guess Sam Hamm finished reading the comic and then was like, yeah, but whatever happened to Captain Metropolis? This question needs to be answered.
And he didn't even answer what was the deal with Dr. Manhattan. He didn't even bother. Fuck. And for those reasons, I'm out. That's a no from me, dog.
Why
and
did
keep
Dr.
in mind,
Manhattan...
Go ahead, Josh.
Why did Dr. Manhattan have to be vaporized? I feel like it
because he
didn't have
turned
to be...
himself into a suit of armor so that he caught all the energy. Man, I don't fucking know.
I thought it would have been I thought it was going to go a different way, and I was hoping it would go this way. I was hoping that Dr. Manhattan would fuse with John Osterman, creating like a time loop. So like when he became Dr. Manhattan originally, this is the problem. Like this is the new problem they have to solve in the next episode.
So all of reality takes place only from the moment that Dr. Manhattan is created.
Exactly. Yeah.
Up to the time that he steps into the time bubble. All of reality is caught in that.
Yeah, because like so he like sees it and then he like I figured it out and then he goes back and his intent is
and nobody else knows. They're all just living in this time loop. Meanwhile, you've got Dr. Manhattan, who's been in it through like 10 billion iterations.
Yep.
And he's
then
just
more like,
I love it. Why do we always make this shit better?
Right? Like Veit is the good guy in that. So and then like you cut to a scene where he's laying there and he's dead, he's vaporized or whatever. Rather than being completely vaporized, like he's laying there and then like it cuts to him and you're like, oh fuck, he's the only person that could have fixed this and he's fucking dead again and again and again and again.
Also, can we just talk real briefly about the fact that Dr. Manhattan vaporizes the motherfucker and then immediately goes, oh shit, he was right.
Yeah. Like he doesn't see the future.
I also feel like Veit is the kind of person that would if he had this ability to create a small hole in reality to send something to the past, he'd like sent himself a letter that was like, go hop in this machine in the Gila Flats and you become Dr. Manhattan and then you fix all the shit. Here's a list of shit that's wrong. Don't make these mistakes.
Or just shove through Gray's Sports Almanac.
Damn it, Biff.
Well, he's already rich. He doesn't need that. I'll fix it Sam Hamm style. So what Dr. Manhattan would have done in the alternative version is he went back in time and he trapped himself in the thing and then he cranked that bitch up to 100 instead of 50 and he became double Manhattan.
I'd like a double, please.
Or he could just, why has he got to shoot the motherfucker? Just stick a note through and say, get out.
Send him an extra watch battery.
Yeah.
Just get the same watch and throw it in there.
There you go.
It's already fixed. Wow, that was fast.
Oh, man. Josh. It's quarantine time. How can people send some work your way?
Oh, man. I'm doing all kinds of work lately. I'm doing real estate work and I'm doing like story-based video content and I actually started a fucking TikTok.
He did. He's got some very entertaining recipes on there. I watched the sweet potato pancakes today, and I loved it.
Dude, they're good, man. So you can reach out to me at Josh, Josh, at joshuajbaker.com. If you're in the Atlanta area, I would love to help you out with some of your content creation needs.
Jeff, if you need to find him, you can find him at the hotel bar drinking away this script.
Is the bar open? There's a bar open at that hotel?
Hell no. There was a lady during the next episode. I'm gonna change shirts and I'm gonna drink a boba tea because there was a chick in the parking lot with a boba tea set up, and I was like, I know I'm late to this recording, but fuck, I'm gonna get one of these.
Guys, you know how our music just ran out? I literally made that so that I was like, I will never talk that long. We'll never run out of music, and we just ran out of music. That's how much this script broke us.
That's not fair. We fixed it with 6 alternative endings.
It's true.
That's us bantering. That's us working.
So guys, I have completely re-engineered the Table Reads podcast website at tablereadspodcast.com. It's not that different. It just works better. So you can go to tablereadspodcast.com for all the stuff you need, or if you just want to go straight to the links where you can get all our stuff, hit the link tree at linktree/tablereads. Also, don't forget, sign up for Patreon, guys. You can be here live streaming with us right now for just $5 a month. And that's it. That's all. We're leaving now, and we will be back next week with part 1 of George Lucas's The Star Wars, the first draft of Star Wars from 1974. So look forward to that. And until then, we will miss you.
This podcast was created by Shawn McBee. For more, visit tablereadspodcast.com. Cut to black.